What is going on, guys? My name is Brent and I hope you guys are excited because this is part 2 on my tutorial series on how to create the game Super Mario Brothers. So in this tutorial, we're actually going to be talking about two new things that we haven't talked about in my previous tutorial series, and that is the game class and the screen interface. So you can check out the game class over here, the documentation for it, and also you can check out the screen class, the documentation over here. So let's just take one moment to read these out really quick. We'll start with the game screen, and it says an application listener that delegates to a screen. This allows an application to easily have multiple screens. So our game class is actually our main game loop. It's going to execute our render loop over and over and over. But instead of actually handling what is happening in that render loop itself, it delegates that action to a screen. Now, going over and reading the screen interface, it says it represents one of many application screens, such as a main menu, a settings menu, the main game screen, and so on. So the screen is what actually executes our logic and what draws things to our screen. So now that we understand what those two things are, let's go ahead and implement them into our code. So if you go to the core package and in Java and then go to your main package here, you're going to see a Mario Bros. Java class. And right now it extends application adapter. And we're going to actually change that to game. And we want to use the badlogic.gdx version of game. So let's go ahead and edit this file a little bit. We're going to start with the Sprite Batch. If you remember correctly from my previous series, a Sprite Batch is basically a container that holds all of our images, our textures, and stuff like that. And when we're ready to render them to the screen, the Sprite Batch basically spills them out and says, okay, we're going to draw everything. The one thing is that a Sprite Batch is very memory intensive, so we only have to have one in our game. We don't want to be creating new Sprite Batches all the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this Sprite Batch here, but we're going to make it public so all of our different screens can have access to this specific Sprite Batch. Next, let's go ahead and delete this texture here. We're not going to need that. We're going to keep our batch equals new Sprite Batch. And what we're going to do is say set screen to a new play screen. And what we're going to do is create that class here shortly. But one thing we're going to pass it is the game itself, so it can set screens in the future. So next, let's just go ahead and get rid of all this stuff right here. And then what we're going to do instead is call super.render. And what this does is delegate the render method to the play screen or whatever screen is active at the time. Okay, we're done with that for now. Let's go ahead and create a new package here. And we're going to call it screens. And inside this package, we're going to actually create a new Java class called game screen. Or actually, we're going to call it play screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to say this extends or implements rather the screen interface, and from bad logic, make sure you remember that. So now let's go ahead and implement all the required methods by right-clicking on screen and going to generate, and we can say implement methods, and all of these are already selected, all the ones that are required, and so there we go. Now we need to add a custom constructor because we're actually sending the game itself to the screen. So let's go to public play screen, and this will take in a Mario Bros. Game. And we'll say this dot game equals game. And then up here we'll say private Mario Bros. Game. There we go. And then, yeah, Alt, Enter, there we go. So that brings in our game class. Now to test all these changes, let's go ahead and create a new texture, the same one actually that we used previously. We'll just say, this will just be temporary. Texture, and we'll say texture equals new texture. And we'll say badlogic.jpg, which is located in our Android assets folder. And then what we got to do first in the render method is to clear the screen. gdx.gl.gl clear is the color and alpha. And then GDX clear actually clears the screen. Next, we got to draw our texture to the screen, but we have to first open up our batch file. So game.batch.begin opens the box. Game.batch.draw will draw our texture at x0, y0, and then game.batch.end will close the box and draw it to the screen. So finally, let's go ahead and test it by hitting the run button up here. It will compile all of our code, and hopefully we'll get our screen pop up here shortly. So there we go. Basically the same screen, but we're doing it in a way that is the correct way to start our Mario Brothers quest. So we're going to go ahead and cut it there for this video. Hope you guys learned something about game and screen classes. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and post them below. I'm pretty good about getting back to everybody. If you're feeling generous, check out my Patreon page. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe, and most importantly, share it if you like it. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.